Welcome back to Who Died Today USA channel. In the past few days, we have received somber news about the passing of extraordinary talents. Today's episode is dedicated to honoring their memory. Additionally, we will recap the stars we have recently lost. Before we begin, we kindly ask for your support. If this video or the legacies of these remarkable individuals have touched your life, please consider giving this video a thumbs up as a sign of respect and remembrance. Thank you. Today, we remember Arthur Hamilton, a gifted songwriter whose timeless music became part of the American soul. Born in Seattle in 1926 and raised in Los Angeles, Hamilton grew up in a home filled with music. His parents, both involved in songwriting, nurtured his love for melody and language from an early age. It was this early immersion that led him to craft one of the most enduring songs of the 20th century, "Cry Me a River." Hamilton's path was not without uncertainty. When he wrote "Cry Me a River," he feared the title might be misunderstood, and he questioned whether its bold lyrics would connect with listeners. But it was precisely that honesty and emotional clarity that struck a chord. The song, first brought to life by Julie London in 1955, went on to be performed by legends like Ella Fitzgerald, Joe Cocker, and Michael Bublé, touching hearts across generations. Throughout his life, Hamilton met creative challenges with quiet determination. He once felt unsure about the simplicity of his beloved Sing a Rainbow, only to see it embraced by audiences young and old. His gentle persistence, paired with an unshakable belief in the emotional truth of his work, carried him through decades of songwriting and storytelling. On June 4, 2025, Hamilton passed away peacefully at the age of 98. His music, however, remains deeply alive, a part of countless memories, films, and hearts. From the smoky notes of jazz clubs to the soft lullabies of childhood, Arthur Hamilton's legacy continues to echo. His songs remind us that even the simplest words, sung with sincerity, can leave a lasting mark on the world. Some lives glow quietly, yet leave an unforgettable light. Pippa Scott's was one of those. A graceful actress, passionate activist, and thoughtful producer, she moved through Hollywood and the world with rare purpose. Known for her early roles in The Searchers and Auntie Mame, Scott brought not just talent, but emotional truth to every part she played. Born in Los Angeles in 1934, the daughter of stage actress Laura Straub and screenwriter Alan Scott, Pippa's journey was shaped early by both creativity and courage. Her uncle, Adrian Scott, was blacklisted during the McCarthy era, an experience that would later ignite her advocacy for justice. She trained at Radcliffe, UCLA, and RADA in London, before making a striking Broadway debut in Child of Fortune. Scott's film and television resume reads like a time capsule of mid-century American storytelling. Petulia, The Twilight Zone, The Dick Van Dyke Show, Columbo, and more. She was more than an actress. She was a familiar, comforting presence in living rooms across the country. But it was behind the camera that her convictions found deeper voice. In 1993, she founded the International Monitor Institute, supporting war crimes prosecution across the globe. Through Linden Productions, she illuminated hidden truths in acclaimed documentaries like The World's Most Wanted Man and King Leopold's Ghost. On May 26, 2025, Pippa Scott passed peacefully from congenital heart failure at her home in Santa Monica. She was 90. She leaves behind not just daughters and grandchildren, but a legacy of storytelling with conscience. In film, in activism, and in life, Pippa Scott reminded us that quiet voices can speak the loudest, especially when they speak for what's right. Breaking news. Today, we take a deep dive into the extraordinary life of a man who has defied gravity, broken box office records, and redefined the very idea of a Hollywood action star, both on and off screen. Tom Cruise, the name alone conjures images of cinematic thrill, unwavering determination, and a legacy built not just on fame, but on sheer force of will. But how does a man in his 60s still hang from airplanes, leap from cliffs, and dazzle the world with his boyish energy? What keeps him going, even as time and pressure mount? Join us as we explore the incredible journey of Tom Cruise, the legend, the risk-taker, the survivor. Born on July 3, 1962, in Syracuse, New York, Thomas Cruise Mapother Ofor began life in humble circumstances. Raised in a modest, often turbulent household, Cruise had an upbringing marked by frequent relocations and a strained relationship with an abusive father. Diagnosed with dyslexia at the age of 7, young Tom struggled deeply in school, often feeling alienated and misunderstood. Reading scripts became a daunting task, and traditional education never felt like home. Yet these very challenges would forge the fire within him, a relentless drive to overcome, to prove something not just to others, but to himself. It was that same inner fire that pushed him toward acting, and in 1981, a small role in the film Endless Love would become the first spark. 2 years later, the now iconic Risky Business gave audiences their first real glimpse of Cruise's charisma. But it was Top Gun in 1986 that launched him into superstardom. With his confident smirk, aviator sunglasses, and heart-pounding jet fighter scenes, Cruise embodied a new kind of American hero. Daring, stylish, and seemingly invincible. Over the next few decades, Cruise became a fixture of global cinema. From emotionally charged performances in Rain Man and Born on the 4th of July, to blockbuster turns in Mission, Impossible, The Last Samurai, Minority Report, and Jerry Maguire, Cruise balanced depth with spectacle in a way few actors could. He was not merely a movie star, he was a phenomenon, a man who lived and acted like there was no tomorrow. But behind the scenes, the road was not always smooth. The very nature of Cruise's determination often invited controversy. He famously began performing his own stunts, a decision that initially worried producers and studio executives. Hanging off planes, scaling skyscrapers, and jumping from motorcycles off cliffs, these were not movie magic tricks, but real-life feats performed by a man driven by authenticity and adrenaline. In Mission Impossible Fallout, he broke his ankle while jumping between buildings. In The Final Reckoning, he reportedly passed out during a scene on a moving airplane due to extreme G-forces, and yet he insisted on continuing the take. What motivates a man to push his body to its absolute limits, especially in his 60s? The answer lies in Cruise's unwavering discipline and obsession with precision. He trains daily, engaging in a mix of strength training, fencing, rock climbing, and even sea kayaking. His diet is closely monitored, low in carbs and high in lean protein, designed not just for looks, but for stamina. He famously avoids junk food and follows an almost monk-like routine when preparing for a role. Before performing high-stakes stunts, he reportedly consumes a calculated breakfast of eggs and healthy fats to maintain stable energy levels. This extreme regimen is not just about physical appearance, it is about survival and excellence. Cruise's intense devotion to his work has also extended into his public beliefs, particularly his advocacy for Scientology. For decades, he has remained one of the church's most visible and passionate supporters. This, too, has sparked debate, especially after his controversial comments regarding mental health in the mid-2000s. He publicly criticized the use of psychiatric treatment in an interview, a moment that drew significant backlash. While he later offered personal apologies to individuals involved, including actress Brooke Shields, the incident served as a reminder of Cruise's polarizing persona, deeply convicted, unapologetically bold, and sometimes difficult to understand. Still, Cruise remains remarkably resilient. His personal life, while often scrutinized, has never overshadowed his professional accomplishments for long. He has weathered public divorces, media storms, and whispers of fading fame, only to emerge, time and again, at the top of the box office. Top Gun. Maverick, released decades after the original, became one of the highest-grossing films of 2022, winning over a new generation of fans and critics alike. At a time when many stars fade, Cruise soared higher than ever, both literally and figuratively. Even more remarkable is his declaration that he has no intention of retiring. In a 2025 interview, Cruise stated that he hopes to continue making films until the age of 100. For him, acting is not just a profession, it is a calling, a test of endurance, and a lifelong commitment. This fearless approach to aging defies Hollywood's usual narratives and speaks to a deeper truth. Cruise is not trying to stay young, he is trying to stay powerful, purposeful, and present. But no hero's journey is without vulnerability. During the filming of Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning, Cruise undertook what might have been his most dangerous stunt yet, standing atop a vintage biplane while it performed aerial maneuvers. According to crew members, he was visibly fatigued afterward, needing assistance to dismount from the aircraft. In another scene, he reportedly required oxygen after a high-altitude dive sequence. These moments suggest that even legends have limits. Yet, instead of retreating, Cruise continues forward, adjusting, recovering, and repeating. Each challenge seems to deepen his resolve. What makes Tom Cruise so endlessly fascinating is not just the stunts or the fame. It is the paradox. A man who seeks control in a world of chaos, who craves authenticity in an industry built on illusion, who pursues perfection while wrestling with personal limitations. He is not fearless. He simply refuses to let fear define him. In an era of short-lived fame and fast content, Cruise remains a cinematic constant. His legacy is not measured only in awards or headlines, but in the way he has inspired people to push past barriers, whether physical, emotional, or societal. He is living proof that limitations are often illusions waiting to be shattered. So now we ask you, what does Tom Cruise mean to you? Is he the last of a dying breed of movie stars? A fearless icon who redefined action cinema? Or is he something more, a symbol of resilience, passion, and human potential in its most focused form? Share your thoughts in the comments below and let us celebrate the astonishing journey of a man who continues to run, not from danger, but toward it. If you found this tribute moving, do not forget to like and subscribe for more stories honoring Hollywood's most legendary figures. Thank you for joining us as we shine a spotlight on the incomparable Tom Cruise, actor, daredevil, and eternal dream chaser. Phil Robertson, the steadfast patriarch of the Robertson family, left an indelible mark on American culture through his unwavering faith, entrepreneurial spirit, and dedication to family. Born on April 24, 1946, in Vivian, Louisiana, Phil's journey from humble beginnings to national prominence is a testament to resilience and conviction. In 1972, Phil founded Duck Commander, transforming a simple duck call invention into a multi-million-dollar enterprise. His authentic portrayal of rural life and commitment to Christian values captivated audiences nationwide when Duck Dynasty premiered in 2012. The show, which ran for 11 seasons, showcased the Robertson family's daily lives, emphasizing the importance of faith, family, and hard work. Phil's life was not without challenges. In December 2024, his family publicly shared his diagnosis of Alzheimer's disease. Despite his health struggles, Phil remained a pillar of strength and inspiration to those around him. He passed away on May 25, 2025, at the age of 79, surrounded by loved ones who cherished his wisdom and guidance. His family honored his legacy in the premiere episode of Duck Dynasty, The Revival, which aired on June 1, 2025. The episode featured heartfelt tributes and flashbacks, celebrating Phil's life and the values he instilled in his family. His son Willie and daughter-in-law Corey expressed their gratitude for the outpouring of support and shared plans for a public celebration of Phil's life in the near future. Phil Robertson's legacy endures through the lives he touched, the family he nurtured, and the faith he exemplified. His story continues to inspire countless individuals to live with purpose, integrity, and unwavering devotion to their beliefs. Ed Gale was more than a performer. He was a storyteller, a scene stealer, and a beloved spirit in Hollywood's history of cult classics. Standing just 3 feet 4 inches tall, Ed turned what many would see as a limitation into a legendary career. From his breakout role in Howard the Duck to physically embodying the chilling presence of Chucky in Child's Play, he left a lasting impression on generations of fans. Arriving in California at the age of 20, with little more than determination and $41 in his pocket, Ed pursued a dream that would lead to over 130 appearances in film, television, and commercials. His performances were fearless and unforgettable. Whether portraying quirky aliens, horror icons, or comic relief in films like Spaceballs, Oh Brother, Where Art Thou, and The Polar Express, Ed brought full-body energy to every scene. Behind the scenes, he was known for his warmth, humor, and unmatched storytelling. His family fondly recalls his love for simple joys, hot dogs from 7-Eleven, DJing at a roller rink in his youth, and delighting in a slow, dramatic tale. Above all, Ed cherished being the fun uncle, sharing the magic of Hollywood with the people he loved most. Ed Gale passed away suddenly in Los Angeles at the age of 61. Though the details of his passing remain private, what he leaves behind is clear: a legacy built on boldness, creativity, and heart. He made us laugh, he gave us chills, and he showed the world that passion knows no limits. His story is one of triumph, talent, and unforgettable charm, and it will continue to inspire for years to come. David Johansen lived a life that echoed through the generations, a voice of bold rebellion, tender reflection, and creative transformation. From the raucous stages of the New York Dolls to the velvety lounges of Buster Poindexter, his career was a symphony of reinvention and raw honesty. Born in Staten Island in 1950, David rose to fame in the early 1970s as the electrifying frontman of the New York Dolls, a band whose gritty glam punk sound laid the groundwork for countless rock icons to follow. Though often misunderstood in their time, the Dolls became a cornerstone of rock history, both for their music and their fearless sense of identity. But David was never one to be boxed in. As Buster Poindexter, he introduced a new generation to swing and jump blues, delighting fans with charm, humor, and unforgettable stage presence. With hits like Hot, 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 he brought joy to dance floors across the world, even if he later joked about its ubiquity. Over the last decade, David faced immense health challenges, including stage 4 cancer, a brain tumor, and a debilitating fall. Yet, even in illness, he remained a source of light and wisdom to those around him. Surrounded by his wife Mara and daughter Leah, he passed peacefully at home, held by the love he had given so freely throughout his life. David Johansen's legacy is more than music. It's the spirit of daring to be different, of laughing through pain, of embracing every corner of one's identity. His voice, raspy, soulful, defiant, will echo on in records, memories, and hearts. He wasn't just part of rock and roll. He was the reason it still matters. Ted Kotcheff, the quietly brilliant force behind some of film and television's most memorable moments, lived his life through stories that challenged, entertained, and endured. From the gritty Australian outback to the solemn courtrooms of primetime television, his directorial hand brought humanity and honesty to every frame. Born in Toronto in 1931 to Bulgarian-Macedonian parents, Ted's creative journey began humbly, directing live television dramas for the CBC in the 1950s. That sense of urgency and fearlessness stayed with him as he traveled the world, navigating political suspicion, artistic ambition, and the constant search for truth on screen. He gifted audiences with cinematic landmarks like Wake in Fright, The Apprenticeship of Duddy Kravitz, and North Dallas 40, each unafraid to look into the darker corners of human ambition. And in 1982, he introduced the world to John Rambo with First Blood, a poignant portrait of a soldier's inner war and a film that forever changed the landscape of action cinema. Ted also had a gift for laughter, directing the cult classic Weekend at Bernie's with the same precision he gave to dramas. On television, he served as a guiding force behind Law and Order, SVU, for over a decade, mentoring actors and shaping stories that tackled the complexities of justice and compassion. In his later years, he faced health with quiet dignity and reflection. He passed away peacefully at age 94, surrounded by loved ones, leaving behind a family, a film legacy, and countless viewers moved by his vision. Ted Kotcheff never shouted for attention, but through 6 decades of work, he earned a place in the hearts of film lovers everywhere. His life reminds us that great storytelling doesn't just entertain, it reveals, heals, and endures. Kora Sue Collins, a radiant light of Hollywood's golden age, lived a life touched by silver screen magic and quiet grace. Born in 1927 in Beckley, West Virginia, her journey to stardom began at just 4 years old with a chance encounter outside a Los Angeles school, a moment that would lead to a dazzling career in film. As a child actress under contract with MGM in the 1930s, Cora Sue appeared alongside some of the most iconic figures in cinema history: Greta Garbo, Bette Davis, Claudette Colbert, and William Powell. Whether playing the younger versions of leading ladies or delivering heartfelt performances of her own, she captivated audiences with poise well beyond her years. In Queen Christina, Evelyn Prentice, and The Adventures of Tom Sawyer, her charm lit up the screen. Behind the glamour, she formed real friendships, having tea with Garbo, being babysat by Lana Turner, and roller skating with Cesar Romero. She worked on nearly 50 films before choosing a quieter life, stepping away from Hollywood at 18 to embrace family and anonymity. "I wanted to enjoy the luxury of anonymity," she once said. And she did, raising a family and living with grace and dignity. Cora Sue passed away peacefully at age 98, surrounded by love. Though her time in the spotlight ended long ago, her legacy shines brightly in classic cinema and the hearts of those who remember. Her life reminds us of a golden chapter in film history, and of a woman who, even as a child, carried herself like a star, then chose a life of love beyond the lights. Joanne Gilbert lived a life set to music, framed by bright lights and velvet stages, a graceful voice of Hollywood's golden era, and a name synonymous with classic elegance and charm. From nightclubs to motion pictures, she brought style and warmth to every performance. Born in Chicago in 1932, Joanne came to Hollywood as a child, the daughter of Oscar-winning lyricist Ray Gilbert, known for Zip-a-Dee-Doo-Dah. Music and storytelling were woven into her life from the very beginning. She began as a fashion model in New York, but it was the spotlight of the stage, and later, the screen, that truly called her name. She debuted in film with Houdini, 1953, and soon after sang and starred in Red Garters, 1954, charming audiences with her wit and poise. Her performances in The Great Man and The High Cost of Loving alongside José Ferrer revealed her depth as an actress. Yet, it was on stage, at venues like the Macambo, the Waldorf Astoria, and Las Vegas showrooms, where her voice truly soared. Joanne's journey wasn't always easy. She navigated the changing tides of fame, evolving from a silver screen starlet to a captivating live performer. Through it all, she carried her legacy with dignity and joy. She passed away on April 16th in Los Angeles at the age of 92. Though the curtains have closed, the echo of her voice, the charm of her screen presence, and the elegance she brought to every moment live on. Joanne Gilbert was more than a performer. She was a presence, one that brightened every stage she graced and left behind melodies that still linger in memory. Dave Jordan lived and breathed music, shaping the sound of a generation with an ear for authenticity and a soul rooted in creativity. From the Rolling Stones to Jane's Addiction and Alice in Chains, his influence ran deep, quietly powerful, always distinctive, and undeniably essential. Born with an unshakable passion for sound, Dave brought clarity and character to the studio, turning raw ideas into timeless records. His work on Jane's Addiction's Nothing's Shocking and Ritual de lo Habitual set new standards in alternative rock, while his presence behind the board helped define an era. He didn't impose, he listened, he guided, he elevated. Beyond the studio, he was a man of big laughter, big stories, and a heart even bigger than his discography. His children, Brian and Michelle, remember a loving father, full of wisdom, curiosity, and endless affection. To them, and to many who knew him, he was more than a producer. He was a myth, a mentor, a deeply devoted dad. Dave Jordan passed away peacefully in his sleep on February 5, 2025, at the age of 75. While the music world mourns the loss of a true original, his legacy plays on. In every note he shaped, every artist he uplifted, and every record that continues to inspire. To his family, his friends, and the artists he guided, Dave was a cornerstone. And to music lovers everywhere, he was the man behind the magic. His sound endures, and so does the love he left behind. Mike Ratledge was more than a musician. He was the pulse of a movement that challenged the boundaries of sound and genre. As the co-founder and keyboardist of Soft Machine, he helped shape a bold new vision of progressive rock, fusing jazz improvisation with psychedelic textures that reverberated across generations. Born in Kent, England in 1943, Mike was steeped in classical music from an early age. But it was his adventurous spirit and inquisitive mind that led him beyond tradition and into the heart of innovation. In 1966, he co-founded Soft Machine, a band that would open for legends like Pink Floyd and Jimi Hendrix, and become a cornerstone of the Canterbury scene. Mike's keyboard work was daring and intricate, propelling tracks like Slightly All the Time and Out Bloody Rageous on the acclaimed third album. He remained the band's steady heart through a decade of evolving lineups, his artistic voice unmistakable on each of Soft Machine's groundbreaking releases until 1976. Beyond Soft Machine, Mike collaborated with visionaries like Syd Barrett and Kevin Ayers, and lent his talent to film scores and experimental soundscapes. His intellect, charm, and deep love of music endured throughout his life. On February 5, 2025, Mike Ratledge passed away at age 81 after a brief illness, surrounded by loved ones. His longtime friend and bandmate John Etheridge called him a Renaissance man. Brilliant, cultured, and deeply kind. Mike leaves behind a legacy not just of music, but of imagination and courage. His sounds remain wild, elegant, untamed, whispering that art knows no bounds when led by a mind and heart as vivid as his. Devon Hares was a storyteller at heart, on screen and in life. From the sweeping plains of Texas to the storied stages of New York, he carved out a path that honored both his roots and his dreams. Born in Lubbock in 1983, Devon's first rhythm came not from scripts or cameras, but from the hooves of horses and the heart of rodeo country. That early spirit of resilience would carry him through every role he embraced. Audiences first came to know Devon as the fierce and magnetic Jack Dempsey on Boardwalk Empire, and later as Pete Baylor in Manifest, where his performances revealed both strength and sensitivity. He brought depth to every character, whether a prison nurse in Daredevil or a haunted soul in The Forest is Red, for which he earned international acclaim. But beyond the camera, Devon was a man of quiet discipline and deep heart. He studied martial arts, finding balance in its discipline, and found joy in storytelling that uplifted others. Those who knew him remember his kindness, his unwavering dedication to craft, and his offbeat humor, often joking it was safer to train in the gym than ride a horse. On May 27, 2025, Devon passed away in New York City after complications from cancer. He was 41. Through it all, he faced his illness with the same quiet strength that defined his life, never asking for the spotlight, but always lighting it up. Devon Hares leaves behind a legacy of performances that moved us and a life that inspired all who knew him. His journey, though far too short, was one of courage, talent, and heart. Mark Dobies lived his life with heartfelt passion, both on the screen and off. A gifted actor and loving father, Mark left an indelible mark on daytime television, captivating audiences with characters who were as layered and complex as the man who played them. Born in Philadelphia in 1959, Mark was a standout athlete before stepping into the world of acting. He brought that same discipline and strength to his roles, first gaining recognition in Guiding Light as Dr. Noah Chase. But it was his portrayal of District Attorney Daniel Colson in One Life to Live that truly demonstrated his fearlessness as a performer, taking on storylines that challenged societal norms and opened difficult conversations. Beyond television, Mark's love for the stage shone in his powerful performance in the 2004 off-Broadway revival of The Normal Heart, where he brought courage and humanity to a role deeply rooted in compassion and justice. Though his career was filled with memorable moments, those closest to him will remember Mark for his generosity, warmth, and adventurous spirit. He was a devoted father to Francesca, Olivia, and Robert, the lights of his life, and a beloved son, brother, and friend. Mark Dobies passed away on March 11, 2025, at the age of 65. While the cause was not disclosed, his passing came far too soon. Yet in his absence, the legacy he leaves is rich, not just in film and theater, but in the lives he touched, the love he shared, and the authenticity he brought to every role and relationship. May he be remembered not only for the characters he played, but for the heart he gave so freely. Cory Crew brought joy to Newfoundland and Labrador for generations, not only through his music, but through his heart. As one half of the beloved duo Cory and Trina, Cory graced stages across the province with laughter, song, and a spark that could only come from true passion and love. Born in Northern Arm and raised in Grand Bank, Cory met his high school sweetheart, Trina Fulford, and together they created something timeless. Through the 1970s to the 1990s, the pair filled clubs with warmth, humor, and harmony, releasing 4 albums that remain cherished by fans today. On and off the stage, their love was evident, a partnership built on shared dreams and deep devotion. After Trina's passing in 2007, Cory kept her memory alive with grace and tenderness, displaying their costumes and albums in his home, and continuing to speak of their journey with pride and affection. "I was always happy on stage because she was happy on stage," he once said, capturing the essence of their bond. Away from the spotlight, Cory was a dedicated teacher in Alberta and Manitoba, retiring in 2021. But it was his unwavering spirit, faith, and humor that touched all who knew him. Cory Crew passed away on February 8, 2025, at the age of 80. He leaves behind not only a legacy of music and laughter, but a profound example of love, loyalty, and kindness. His songs may fade from the speakers, but his impact echoes on, in every heart he warmed and every smile he brought forth. Breaking news. Steve Martin, the reluctant spotlight and a lifelong pursuit of creative freedom. Where is he now? In an industry that thrives on reinvention, few figures have managed to evolve quite like Steve Martin. Comedian, actor, author, musician, and reluctant icon, Steve Martin has carved out a path in Hollywood that is as unconventional as it is inspiring. But how has he maintained this longevity in a world that constantly demands reinvention? And what toll, if any, has it taken on his health, his spirit, and his legacy? Born on August 14, 1945, in Waco, Texas, Martin's journey began with humble roots. As a teenager, he worked at Disneyland, performing magic tricks and selling guidebooks. That early exposure to showmanship ignited a passion that would take him far beyond the Magic Kingdom. He began writing for television in the late 1960s, earning an Emmy Award for his work on The Smothers Brothers Comedy Hour. But Martin was never one to settle. He soon took to the stage, launching a stand-up comedy career that would define the 1970s. Martin's comedy was absurdist, physical, and deeply reflective of his intellectual curiosity. He filled stadiums with fans eager to see his iconic white suit and hear lines that defied traditional punchlines. Albums like Let's Get Small and A Wild and Crazy Guy earned him Grammy Awards and cemented his status as a cultural phenomenon. But the fame came at a cost. The constant touring, the pressure to perform, and the isolation of success left Martin emotionally drained. By 1981, at the peak of his stand-up career, Martin made a stunning decision. He walked away. It was a move that baffled fans but saved his spirit. He transitioned into film, where he starred in hits like The Jerk, Roxanne, All of Me, Father of the Bride, and Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. These films showcased a different side of Martin, a blend of vulnerability, intelligence, and comedic timing that confirmed his versatility. Yet Martin's talents could not be confined to the screen alone. An accomplished banjo player, he began releasing bluegrass albums, eventually earning multiple Grammy Awards for his musical work. His collaborations with the Steep Canyon Rangers and Edie Brickell brought him critical acclaim in the music world. He also authored best-selling novels and memoirs, including Born Standing Up, a reflective and candid look at the emotional cost of a life in comedy. Health-wise, Steve Martin has remained relatively active and well. However, he has openly discussed his experience with tinnitus, a condition he believes resulted from a gunfire scene while filming Three Amigos. Rather than let it define him, Martin has adapted, maintaining a full performance schedule and creative life well into his late 70s. He also acknowledges the natural limitations of aging and has subtly reduced the number of live performances, shifting focus toward writing and producing. In 2024, Martin starred in and co-created the third season of the critically acclaimed Hulu series Only Murders in the Building, alongside Martin Short and Selena Gomez. The series won accolades for its fresh mix of comedy and mystery, and Martin's performance was lauded as both heartfelt and hilarious. That same year, he was the subject of a two-part Apple TV Plus documentary titled Steve Martin, a documentary in two pieces directed by Morgan Neville. The film delves deep into his personal life, career, and the emotional complexities of being a reluctant star. For many fans, it offered a rare glimpse behind the curtain of one of America's most private entertainers. In 2025, Martin was honored at the Screen Actors Guild Awards alongside his Only Murders co-stars for outstanding ensemble performance in a comedy series. Although he missed the in-person ceremony, co-star Selena Gomez personally presented the award to Martin and Short shortly afterward, showcasing the deep friendship and mutual respect between the trio. Martin's creative pursuits remain ceaseless. His ongoing comedy tour with Martin Short, the Dukes of Funnytown, continues to sell out venues nationwide. Their dynamic blend of musical performance and biting humor keeps audiences laughing, while also offering reflections on aging, fame, and friendship. The tour's latest leg, scheduled for late 2025, includes cities like Albany and New Haven, further evidence of Martin's enduring popularity and performance stamina. While he has largely avoided the controversies that ensnare many public figures, Steve Martin faced minor scrutiny in 2023 following comments made by actress Miriam Margolies about their time filming Little Shop of Horrors. Margolies claimed that Martin's slapstick comedy was physically rough. Martin responded with calm clarity, stating that all scenes were meticulously choreographed and rehearsed for safety. Director Frank Oz defended Martin, emphasizing his professionalism and careful conduct on set. The matter soon faded, with most fans and colleagues voicing support for Martin. Despite the occasional brush with criticism, Steve Martin remains admired for his intelligence, civility, and creativity. In an age where fame is often loud and fleeting, his quiet mastery and depth of talent set him apart. He continues to write essays, develop television content, and explore visual arts, all at a pace he sets for himself. So, where is Steve Martin now? He is not chasing attention, but rather enjoying a phase of his career where control, legacy, and joy take precedence. He is embracing fatherhood later in life, spending time with his daughter, and speaking openly about how parenthood has changed his perspective. He calls it his most important role, and in his words, the most unexpectedly fulfilling. In many ways, Steve Martin has become a symbol of sustainable success. His story is not one of constant reinvention for the sake of relevance, but rather of evolution driven by curiosity and heart. From magic shows at Disneyland to Emmy-winning scripts, from comedy stadiums to heartfelt banjo ballads, Martin's journey is a masterclass in balancing brilliance with boundaries. What are your thoughts on Steve Martin's extraordinary career? Which of his performances left the biggest mark on your life? Share your memories in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this tribute, be sure to subscribe for more stories about the legends who continue to inspire us all.